Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far. Like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me. Never before has someone been more unforgettable in every way. And forevermore, that's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I...
This film is based on my grandfather, Fred Fairfield, who suffered with Alzheimer's disease for 10 years. In this film you will see his journey from when he was diagnosed up until his passing in 2006.
Fred, he was a great man. He worked, he loved all his children, he loved all his grandchildren, and then what had to happen then was he started forgetting things, you know, and that, and, you know, we've laughed about it, and things what he's done, we've really laughed.
My sister used to sit with him on a Friday, and I used to take my mum shopping, and he knew that routine, that when we came back, we'd done the shopping, he was allowed to have a cup of tea and a cigarette, and he used to start rubbing his hands because he knew that he was allowed these things.
No, it was a pleasure to go and see Fred and help him, because it was just lovely. Really, it was nice to see that he was happy all the time.
There was times when he thought he was going to work, and he'd come downstairs, and then I'd realise he was missing, so I had to come down to see where he was, and then he was trying to get dressed to go to work. He insisted he was going to work.
Myself or my sister or my two brothers at my mum's helping out, because the carers was there during the day, 3 times a day, and then we had the night sitters.
He would even suggest he was going out to the shop and that. Now, one time he did get out to go to the shop, and I realised, you know, he'd gone, and then it was just waiting for somebody to go see him, to find him.
But you do get attached to people, but you're supposed to rev that sort of fine line where you're not supposed to, but you can't help it.
He came back, but he'd no idea, you know, where he'd been.
Kept fighting back all the time, and I think if he'd have been in home, he wouldn't have able to done that. He was a fighter.
We'd been married 51 years. He worked on the docks, filleter on the docks, hail, rain, snow or blow, never a deadness, and to come down with Alzheimer's. It was a great shock to me and his children.
I travelled to our local Alzheimer's Society branch, which was in Hull. I wanted to know what was being done when it comes to finance and care for people with dementia.
I'm the branch manager for the Hull and East Riding branch of the Alzheimer's Society. This branch of the Alzheimer's Society is one of about 250 of the National Alzheimer's Society, which as a charity does research work into either cures towards different types of dementia, not just Alzheimer's, or different medications to help alleviate some of the symptoms. And we have a large turnover in terms of money for research every year that's raised nationally. I feel that it's a difficult situation for people with dementia and carers, and also for the government. And I do have to say there's two sides of the story. Initially, the drugs that were available were made available on the NHS in 2001 after a good review and after good research was put forward. And it now seems that that decision has been overturned, and it doesn't seem clear to me why that process has taken the way it has, in the sense that there's an independent body, NICE, to review drugs and treatments on the NHS, which is independent from the government and from drugs companies, and that's a very good process. But what's not clear is the decisions that have been made and why they've been made the way they have and why they've overturned what was put into place 4 years ago. So personally, I feel that it's not providing the level of care that the NHS prides itself on providing by withdrawing a clinically proven treatment.
The UK spends just £11 on research per person with dementia each year, compared to £289 per person with cancer. In 100 years we have come a long way, but if we are to find a cure for dementia, we must act now.
He was a happy bloke. He was one of the lads. He was like my best mate, your friend, and he lived life to the max, really. He loved a joke. He would take the mickey out of you, always. He had a really dry sense of humour, and he liked to say dark comedy. He was a good pee taker. He'd take the mickey out of you.
He was filleting, contract filleting, and he'd put some fish in a bag upstairs, and the gaffer actually see the water running out of his bag where the fish is. And he come downstairs, he says, "Look, Fred, I've just found this in your bag, what's it doing there?" He says, "Some put that in there, it's nothing to do with me."
My mum used to give him deep pockets so he could bring a parcel of fish off the docks. Yeah, was brought up on fish. But he was known, everybody knew him. If you said who he was, Fred Fairfield, Fishy Fred, everybody knew him.
He came from a time where he went to work, he came home from work, he sat in the room and we sort of kept our distance. But when he became poorly, he seemed to want us there, which was, I found quite pleasing. I found it quite comforting and I wish my dad, when he was ill and how he was then, he was more like that before he was ill.
He couldn't tell you his own name, he couldn't tell you what day it was, what year it was. But as soon as we went down dock, he remembered where he used to work, who he used to work for, who he used to pinch fish off. We'd wander around the town, he'd talk about the town, he'd talk about the way Grimsby's changed. I knew probably all the boozers down Freeman Street, and he'd tell me he'd finish work and he'd pop in that pub and go down that pub, and the amount of people who knew him, the amount of people who would go get fence panels from a certain company in Grimsby, and we didn't pay for it because that bloke got a parcel of fish the following week.
Sometimes I'll sit down and I think, I'm never going to see my dad again. And sometimes I can't cope with that.
If somebody said to me, "You've just won the Euro Millions of £100 million," I'd give it away if I could have him back here just for one more year.
It's only been 3 months since Fred died, and life without him is lonely, because we'd never been parted in the 51 years of being married, and I know when the time comes you get yourself ready for it, but when it comes you're not, and yeah, I'm very lonely without him. I've never been on my own. All the years I've been married and that, I've never been left on my own, and it's been hard, really hard. But the saying is, time will heal. I hope so. I do really miss him.
unforgettable.